Hello, folks. Good morning. This is Dustin Jones. I'm one of two faculty members with the Institute of Clinical Excellence with the Older Adult Division. So this is Older Adult Wednesday. The other faculty member is Christina Previtt, and we are teaching Modern Management of the Older Adult that will be starting January 14th of 2018. So if you're interested in that, there will be a link in the show notes as well as a Facebook post. So today, I wanted to talk about something that has become more prevalent in the circles that I'm in on the internet with the geriatric PT crowd, and that is cognition and processing speed. And this could potentially be the most overlooked factor when we are working with older adults, especially when we are prescribing exercises. You know, we check vitals, we check strength, we're doing all these factors, environmental assessments, all these things that we take a look at. But when I often think about what our evaluations and assessments look like, cognition and processing speed's usually not a big part of that. And there's actually a part of the Journal of Geriatric PT in a recent issue, there was a segment talking about the lack of cognitive screening within our profession, that we really don't have like a solid tool that will help direct, who we need to really intervene with. We have tools that identify people that have pretty low cognitive capacity, but then we don't have something great for really high functioning people that are starting to show signs of some type of cognitive decline. So it's a big area that will hopefully be developing going forward, but we don't have to wait for that. we can do our due diligence at the moment with the amount of data that we have currently. So I want to talk about a study that I went through with a few people. I'm going to pull up the notes just to read you the title here. So this is a really interesting study. It was out of Vancouver. I think Dr. Kareem Khan was one of the authors, but it was slow processing speed predicts falls in older adults with the falls history. This is a 1-year prospective cohort study. So it was 12 months, 288 adults. All of them were over the age of 70, and they had had a fall within the past year. And what they did is they looked at 5 factors with these people. So the first one being processing speed, working memory, emotional functioning, physical functioning, which they test with the SPPB, which is a short physical performance battery test, and the timed up and go, or the tug, and body composition / fall risk profile. So to measure the processing speed, they did a few tests. So I want to talk about the 2 main ones that they use, and that's the Stroop test. So the Stroop test, I'm sure you all probably saw this, in your psychology classes, but it's where, you have several words, red, blue, green. The words say all types of different colors, but the color of the word may not actually match up with what the word says, and you're to actually read the word, read the letters, not say what the color is. And so it's a very confusing mind trick, and so you just kind of time how quick you can get through those colors. And then the second one is the trail making test. So you have all these different numbers on a piece of paper randomly scattered throughout, and you're supposed to make a trail that goes in a sequential order, and you're timed. And so what they found when they followed these people for 12 months, the strongest predictor of an injurious fall was processing speed. It was not their timed up and go. It was not their SPPB. It was their processing speed based on, the little trail making test and the Stroop test that they did. And that really got me thinking about how often do we actually even look at processing speed or consider it? And from my observation, and other people as well, it's not very common. Now, say someone does have slow processing speed that we're able to quantify, maybe with some of these tests. What do we do with that? So a lot of us are probably familiar with perturbation training. There's some really cool stuff coming out with getting people on body weight supported treadmills, and then intentionally tripping them, so they have to do their stepping reaction to maintain their balance. That stuff's pretty amazing. A lot of us don't have that equipment to do it in a safe manner. So perturbations are great, not always practical for some people. So what can we do? And so there's something that I came across that Meg Lowry, she's a physical therapist or a physiotherapist in Australia, has created an app to really address this issue. She's a big proponent of mixing these cognitive challenges with the things that we're already doing so we can get more bang for our buck. So I want to share her app. I just find it really helpful, especially for me in the home health arena, but it's called Clock Yourself. I know you probably can't see it that well. I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's the Clock Yourself app. And it's really interesting because it's scalable. So you can start off at a bronze level. And what she's done is basically created a clock. So this isn't showing up very well on the screen, but yeah, there you go. So you can see all the numbers. And the reason the clock is helpful in terms of exercise is because it's something that is so ingrained in our brains of where 1 is, where 8 is, where 12 is, that you can do several different things with that format to where you can do some very challenging cognitive activities, but something that people already know. They don't have to memorize something, but it's already been fixated in their brain for living for so long. But what she has done is basically created a way to call out a number, and those people have to take in that input, process that, and then output a movement, which we don't always do in the PT world. We usually throw people on a table and have them do, sideline clamshells or flailing their limbs with, ankle weights around their ankles. This has a whole new component, or not a new component, but that added component of that cognitive challenge of really challenging their processing speed, as well as challenging their muscles, their ligaments, their tendons, all these things that we really try and focus on and applying force to. And so there's all these variables. You can do a half clock, which is good if you want someone that's maybe not as stable. They can also hold on to something and just do the half clock. When you just hit play, and it'll just call out the number. And you step. And you can scale that to where you go all the way up to platinum, and you can do stuff with your hands. She changes the numbers. So all kinds of different factors. And so I was playing around with this, and I've used it with several of my patients, that it brings this element, this whole new element into the physical therapy world, where we're not just having people go through these exercises to go through a routine, but we are actually challenging them in a multifaceted way. I'm not just getting them stronger. I'm not just challenging their cardiopulmonary system, but I'm challenging their cognition, their ability to think on their feet, their ability to react to a stimulus. And my gosh, that is so valuable for them when they're walking, when they're going out in their community. And like that study said, it is a great predictor of falls in older adults. So all that to say, I want you all to really think about how can you incorporate some of these processing speed or these cognitive challenge principles within your plan of care. So whether it's, buy an app that you can use with your patients, or even, try and make a game out of the exercises. Say you're working on weighted goblet squats with your patients. Instead of just having them do 8 in a row, maybe you could do math problems out of it. You could just say, all right, do 2 + 4. They think they have to do 6. Just something even that simple, to where it becomes more of an all-encompassing activity. It can have a big impact and potentially reduce their risk of falling down the road. So that's just one tiny example. There's so many ways that we can incorporate this into our exercise prescription. You'll really only be limited by your creativity. So I challenge you, add the cognitive component to your activities when you're working with older adults. Don't just do the plain Jane routine that we're all used to, where you don't have to think, and the patient doesn't even have to think. So yeah, let's be better about that. So that's all I've got for today. Check out that app. I'll put the link to that study in the show notes, and probably some other resources to give you all some ideas of how to incorporate that cognitive aspect into working with older adults. I'm going to mention some of the courses coming up. So December 16th and 17th, this is going to be wild. Jeff Moore is at Recharge in Maryland. So that's Ryan Smith and Gene Shirokabrod's place in Maryland. So that's Recharge/Hoko CrossFit. Jeff's doing the cervical spine management course there. And then on January 6th, Jeff's going to be in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, doing lumbar spine management. And then January 14th, we have a couple online courses kicking off. One is the modern management of the older adult, which I'm excited about. And then that same day, the cohort 5 of the APHPT course will start. That only has 2 spots left. So you probably want to get on that sooner than later. And then on January 20th, Performing Artist Comprehensive Management with Jessica Davis at Entropy in Chicago. It was sold out. They're adding 4 more spots, maybe less. So that's what's going on around the world of the Institute of Clinical Excellence. Thank you all for listening. Have a lovely Wednesday, and I will talk with you all in a couple weeks.